My son pulled into the driveway in his Tesla, the engine silent, except for the soft hum of electric motors. I was standing in the garage, my hands still trembling slightly as I pulled the cover off the 1000. 969 Dodge Charger RT. 17 years. That's how long I'd spent restoring this car, piece by piece, imagining this exact moment. It was Marcus's 35th birthday, and I was giving him the car my father and I had started restoring together before he passed. The car my son and I were supposed to finish together, before he moved to Seattle and got too busy with his tech startup. The car that held every memory of skinned knuckles, late nights in the garage, and my father's voice teaching me that some things are worth the time they take. Marcus stepped out of his Tesla, barely glancing at the Charger. His wife, Vanessa, followed, her heels clicking on the concrete. She was already on her phone. "Happy birthday, son," I said, my voice catching slightly. I gestured to the car. "She's finally done." Marcus looked at the Charger like I'd just shown him a rusty lawnmower. "Dad, seriously?" He walked closer, but not to admire it. To inspect it like a health inspector examining a failed restaurant. "Is this the car you've been wasting your weekends on?" The word wasting hit me like a punch to the gut. 17 years, hundreds of weekends, thousands of hours. The original 440 Magnum engine I'd rebuilt 3 times to get it perfect. The Hemi orange paint I'd mixed and remixed until it matched the factory specs exactly. The interior I'd reupholstered by hand using the original pattern. "I restored it for you," I said quietly. "For your birthday. You always talked about how you loved riding in it when you were little, before Grandpa died. I thought we could take it to the car shows together, like we used to talk about." Vanessa looked up from her phone long enough to wrinkle her nose. "Marcus, where would we even park this thing? Our building has 2 Tesla charging stations. This is so impractical." Marcus walked around the car, but not with appreciation, with calculation. "Dad, do you know what the carbon footprint of this thing is? It gets, 8 miles per gallon? Maybe 10 on the highway?" "It's not about the mileage," I started, but he cut me off. "Everything's about efficiency now. My Tesla gets the equivalent of 120 miles per gallon. This is just..." He gestured vaguely at the Charger, searching for words. "It's nostalgia. It's a museum piece. And honestly, Dad, I don't have time for weekend car shows. I'm trying to scale my company. We're going into our Series B funding round." I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, just crack, like the sound of ice on a lake that's not quite frozen solid. "Your grandfather and I started this car together," I said, my voice steady even though my hands weren't. "He died before we could finish it. I promised him I'd complete it and pass it to you. That's what we do in this family. We pass things down." "Dad, that's sweet. Really." Marcus's tone was the one you use with a child who doesn't understand why they can't have ice cream for breakfast. But I don't need a gas-guzzling antique. If you want to give me something, just sell it and give me the cash. Vanessa and I are looking at a vacation property in Maui. The down payment would really help. Vanessa perked up at that. "There's this amazing beachfront condo. Just listed. If we move fast, we could." "It's not for sale," I interrupted. "It's a gift. For you. Your inheritance." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "Dad, inheritance is what you leave me when you die. And honestly, when that happens, I'd rather have liquid assets. This thing is just going to sit in a garage and depreciate. Well, actually, I guess old cars appreciate sometimes. But the maintenance costs would eat any gains." He pulled out his phone, already typing. "I'm going to send you some articles about EV adoption and climate change. You really should consider selling this and getting something electric. Set an example, you know?" Vanessa nodded enthusiastically. "My father just got a Rivian. It's gorgeous, and so much better for the planet." I looked at my son. Really, looked at him. When had he become this person? When had the boy who used to sit on my father's lap, steering wheel in his small hands, pretending to drive this very car, turned into someone who saw it as nothing more than a carbon footprint calculation? "Get out of my garage," I said quietly. Marcus blinked. "What?" "Get out of my garage." My voice was still quiet, but there was something in it that made him take a step back. Take your Tesla and your Series B funding and your Maui condo dreams and get out. Dad, don't be dramatic. I spent 17 years on this car, Marcus. 17 years. Your grandmother died the year I started. I worked through grief with these hands. I held them up, scarred and calloused from decades of work. Your mother had her first cancer scare while I was rebuilding the transmission. I worked through fear. You graduated college. I was under this car. You got married. I was installing the seats. You moved to Seattle and stopped calling except on holidays. I was here, in this garage, every weekend, building you something that meant something. Vanessa touched Marcus's arm. Maybe we should go. Good idea, I said. Marcus's face flushed red. You're being unreasonable. I'm just being honest. I don't want the car. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I'm a grown man with my own life and my own priorities. You're right, I said. You are a grown man, old enough to understand that when someone spends 17 years making something for you with their own hands, you don't calculate its carbon footprint. You say thank you. Thank you? Marcus's voice rose. Thank you for what? A car I didn't ask for? A car I don't want? Dad, you can't guilt me into? Out. I pointed to the driveway. Now. They left. The Tesla backed out silently, and they drove away. I stood in the garage with the Charger, the overhead lights reflecting off the Hemi-orange paint, and I felt nothing. Just numb. I ran my hand over the hood. Smooth as glass. Perfect. I'd done it right. My father would have been proud. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Marcus's words. Museum piece, impractical, liquid assets. I got up at 3 a.m. and went to the garage. I sat in the driver's seat of the Charger, my hands on the steering wheel my father had gripped thousands of times, and I made a decision. The next morning, I called Bill Henderson. Bill ran the premier classic car auction house in the Southwest. We'd known each other for 30 years, ever since we met at a car show in Tucson. Tom, Bill said when he answered, how's the Charger coming? It's done, I said. Done? Tom, that's fantastic. When can I see it? How about in your auction house? I want to sell it. There was a long pause. Tom, you told me you were restoring that car for Marcus. You've been talking about giving it to him for 17 years. Change of plans. When's your next major auction? 3 weeks. We've got the Desert Classic coming up. Some serious collectors flying in. But Tom, are you sure about this? That car means everything to you. It meant everything to me, I corrected. Now it's just a car. A very valuable car. What do you think it'll bring? Another pause. Tom, you rebuilt that thing to better than factory specs. Original 440 Magnum, numbers matching, documented restoration, family provenance story. In the current market, conservative estimate, 140 to 160. But if you get the right bidders in the room, 2 collectors who really want it, could go north of $200,000. My breath caught. $200,000. I'd never thought of the Charger in those terms. I'd only ever thought of it as Marcus's inheritance, his legacy, his connection to his grandfather, and to me. Enter it in the auction, I said. You got it. I'll send the paperwork. Tom, I'm sorry about whatever happened with Marcus. I didn't ask how he knew. Bill had 3 kids himself. He understood. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Bill's team came to photograph the car. They did a complete documentation package. Every part, every receipt, every photo from the 17-year restoration. They even dug up old photos of my father and 6-year-old Marcus sitting in the stripped-down shell of the car, both of them grinning. Marcus called once during those 2 weeks. Dad, I'm sorry we fought. Vanessa and I talked, and we were maybe a little harsh. If you still want to give me the car, I'll take it. We can keep it at your place, and maybe I'll drive it when I visit. The car's not available anymore, I said. What do you mean? I mean it's entered in an auction. Desert Classic, 3 weeks from last Saturday. Silence. Then you're selling it? Dad, you can't. That's my inheritance. You made it clear you didn't want it. I didn't say that. I just said it was impractical. But if it's worth something, I mean, it is mine, isn't it? Morally? Morally? I let that word hang in the air. Morally, a son who calls his father's life's work a museum piece has no claim to anything. Dad. I hung up. The night before the auction, I cleaned the charger one last time. Every inch of chrome, every spoke of the wheels. I vacuumed the carpet. I cleaned the windows. I made her perfect. Bill called me that evening. Tom, I've got 3 serious pre-bidders. 2 collectors from California, 1 from Texas. The Texas guy saw the documentation package and called me personally. He said his father had the same car, same color, when he was a kid. He wants this one for sentimental reasons. He's got deep pockets. Good, I said. There's something else. Marcus called me. I closed my eyes. What did he say? He wanted to know if he could stop the auction. Said the car was supposed to be his. I told him I only take instructions from the legal owner, which is you. He wasn't happy. I bet he wasn't. The auction was on a Saturday afternoon. I wore my best suit, the one I'd worn to Marcus's wedding. I sat in the 3rd row of the auction hall, surrounded by collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts. The energy in the room was electric. Bill took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got something special for you now. Lot 47. A 1969 Dodge Charger R T 440 Magnum engine. Numbers matching. Hemi orange paint. But this isn't just any Charger. This car has a story. He told them about my father starting the restoration, about his death, about me spending 17 years finishing it, about the documented provenance, about every perfect detail. He didn't mention Marcus. He didn't need to. The car rolled onto the stage, and the crowd murmured. Under the auction lights, she was breathtaking. The orange paint glowed. The chrome gleamed. She was perfect. We'll start the bidding at $40,000, Bill said. A paddle went up immediately, then another. The price climbed quickly. 50,000, 70, 90. The California collectors were bidding against each other. Then the Texas guy entered at 110. I sat there, watching my past 17 years convert into numbers on a screen. 120, 130, 140. That's when I heard the door at the back of the auction hall open. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I knew that footfall. Marcus. 150. 160. The 2 California bidders dropped out. It was down to the Texas collector and 1 other phone bidder. 170. 180. I heard movement behind me. Marcus sliding into the row. 190. Dad. Marcus's voice was low, urgent. Dad, please, stop this. I didn't turn around. 200,000. The phone bidder dropped out. Fair warning, Bill called. Last call at 200,000. Going once. Dad, I'm begging you. Going twice. I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please. The hammer started to fall. 210,000. Marcus's voice rang out across the auction hall. Every head turned. Bill's eyes found mine. I gave the smallest shake of my head. Sir, Bill said to Marcus, this auction requires pre-registration and verified funds. I have verified funds. I can wire money tomorrow. That's not how this works, Bill said firmly. The bid on the floor stands at 200,000. Going once, going twice. I heard Vanessa's voice, sharp with panic. Marcus, we don't have $200,000. We can get a loan. We can. The hammer fell. Sold for $200,000 to bidder number 73. The auction hall erupted in applause. The Texas collector stood up, pumping his fist. Bill looked at me, and I nodded. It was done. I stood to leave. Marcus grabbed my arm. Dad, you can't. That car was supposed to be mine. I looked at my son, really looked at him. His face was red. His eyes were desperate. Behind him, Vanessa looked furious. You had it, I said quietly. I gave it to you. And you called it impractical. You calculated its carbon footprint. You asked me to sell it and give you cash for a condo in Maui. So I sold it. I didn't mean I was just Dad. It's worth $200,000. No, I said. It was worth 17 years of my life. 17 years of my love. 17 years of my hope that I was building something meaningful to pass to my son. You taught me that those 17 years weren't worth anything to you, so I gave them to someone who understands value. You're punishing me? No, I'm letting you go. You wanted liquid assets? The 200,000 is going into a trust for your sister's kids. They're 8 and 10. Maybe I can teach them what I failed to teach you. Marcus's face went white. My sister? You're giving my inheritance to Rachel's kids? Rachel's kids say thank you when they receive gifts, I said. Rachel's kids understand that family heirlooms matter. Rachel's kids spend time with me, not because they want something, but because they love me. So, yes, they're getting your inheritance. I pulled my arm free and walked away. Behind me, I heard Vanessa hissing at Marcus. I heard my son's voice, cracking. Dad, please. I didn't turn around. Bill caught up with me outside. Tom, that was intense. You okay? I'm fine. Who bought it? James Patterson, the Texas guy. He's already crying, Tom. He told me his father died last year, and they never finished restoring their Charger together. He said buying yours feels like completing what they started. He wants to meet you. I met James Patterson in Bill's office. He was about my age, maybe a few years younger. When he shook my hand, his grip was firm, but his eyes were wet. Mr. Morrison, he said. Tom, that car. I can't thank you enough. It's yours now, I said. Take care of her. I will. My son is flying in from Denver tomorrow. We're going to drive it back to Texas together. 2 days on Route 66, just him and me and that beautiful machine. We're going to finish what my father and I started. Something in my chest loosened. Not the crack from 2 weeks ago. Something different, like a knot untying. That's what she was built for, I said. Father and son, making memories. James pulled out his checkbook. I know I won't get far, but I have to try. Would you take 220? 230? I know that car is worth more than 200 to you emotionally. The price is 200,000, I said. Not a penny more. She found the right home. That's worth more than money. We did the paperwork. Bill handled the transfer. James walked me out to the parking lot where the Charger was being loaded onto a transport trailer. You want to say goodbye? James asked quietly. I walked to the car one last time. I ran my hand over the hood. Smooth as glass. Perfect. I looked through the window at the interior I'd spent 3 years perfecting. Bye, Dad, I whispered. Not to the car. To my father, whose hands had started this journey. I finished it. I did right by you. I turned to James. She's all yours. Make good memories. I drove home in my pickup truck. The same truck I'd owned for 20 years. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't electric. It wasn't worth $200,000. But it was mine. And it had carried every part that went into that Charger. And it had carried me through 17 years of work. When I got home, Rachel's car was in my driveway. My daughter was sitting on my porch with her 2 kids, Tyler and Emma. 10 and 8, not 8 and 10 like I'd told Marcus. But close enough. Uncle Marcus called Mom, Tyler said when I walked up. He was really mad. I bet he was, I said. Rachel stood up. Dad, did you really sell Grandpa's car? I did. The one you were restoring for Marcus? It wasn't for Marcus anymore. He made that clear. Rachel studied my face. Then she hugged me. I'm sorry, Dad. Don't be. It went to a good home. A father and son who will appreciate it. Emma tugged on my sleeve. Grandpa, can we see your workshop? You said you'd show us how to change oil. I looked down at my granddaughter. 8 years old. Curious. Eager. Present. Yeah, I said. Yeah, let's do that. In the garage, the space where the Charger had been looked empty. But my workbench was still there. My tools still hung on the wall. And Tyler and Emma crowded around me as I showed them how to check oil, how to identify different wrenches, how to respect machinery. Rachel watched from the doorway, her phone in her hand. Dad, Marcus is texting me. He wants me to talk to you. He says you can't give his inheritance to my kids. I can and I did, I said. The trust is already set up. The money from the car sale is already transferred. It's for Tyler and Emma's education. Every penny. He's saying you're punishing him for being honest. I straightened up from the engine I was showing the kids. Rachel, I'm not punishing him. I'm teaching him the same lesson I've been trying to teach him for 35 years. Some things matter more than money. Some things can't be reduced to carbon footprints and efficiency calculations and liquid assets. The car wasn't about the car. It was about connection. It was about honoring the past while building the future. It was about understanding that when someone loves you enough to spend 17 years making something for you with their own hands, you don't ask them to convert it to cash. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then, what should I tell him? Tell him that when he's ready to understand what he lost, I'll be here. But I won't apologize for selling the car. It deserved better than being seen as a burden or an investment. It deserved to be loved. Tyler looked up at me. Grandpa, what was the car like? I smiled. Tyler, let me tell you about a 1969 Dodge Charger RT Hemi orange paint. 440 Magnum engine. The most beautiful machine you've ever seen. I told them stories while I worked. About my father. About young Marcus. Before the tech startup and the Tesla and the calculations. About skinned knuckles and late nights and the smell of motor oil and satisfaction. Rachel took pictures of me teaching her kids, and I didn't stop her. Marcus called me 3 more times that week. I didn't answer. He showed up at my house once, but I didn't answer the door. Vanessa sent me an email explaining that they were processing their feelings about my betrayal. I didn't respond. 6 months later, I got a letter in the mail. A real letter, handwritten, not an email or a text. The return address was Seattle. Dad, it read. I saw a '69 Charger at a car show last weekend. It was red, not orange, different interior. Not as nice as yours, but I stopped and looked at it for a long time. The owner told me about restoring it with his son. They worked on it for 12 years. He talked about it the way you used to talk about ours, and I realized I never listened. I never really heard what you were saying. I'm sorry, Dad. I know sorry doesn't get the car back. I know sorry doesn't erase what I said. But I need you to know that I understand now. I understand what I lost. Not the car, not the $200,000. I lost 17 years of you trying to show me you loved me, and me being too busy to notice. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I finally get it. I love you, Dad. Your son, Marcus. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't respond immediately. Some lessons need time to sink in. But 2 weeks later, I wrote back. Marcus, I wrote, thank you for your letter. I'm glad you're starting to understand. The car is gone. That chapter is closed. But there are other chapters we can write. When you're ready to visit, not to talk about inheritances or to calculate the value of time spent together, but just to be a son visiting his father, my door is open. There's a '67 Camaro in my garage that needs a new transmission. If you're interested, we could work on it together. No promises about who it belongs to. No discussions about carbon footprints. Just a father and son, working with their hands, making something together. Let me know, Dad. I mailed the letter. 3 weeks later, Marcus showed up at my door. No Vanessa, no Tesla. He'd rented a regular car, a Chevy Malibu. He was wearing old jeans and a t-shirt I recognized from his college days. I'm here to work on the Camaro, he said. If the offer still stands. I looked at my son. He looked tired, older, but something in his eyes was different. Softer, maybe. More open. It stands, I said. You know anything about transmissions? No, but I'm ready to learn. We worked in the garage that afternoon. I showed him how to assess the damage, how to order parts, how to plan a restoration. He listened. Really listened. He asked questions. He got his hands dirty. At one point, he stopped and looked at me. Dad, the Charger, the guy who bought it, is he taking care of it? He sends me pictures every month, I said. Him and his son, driving it across Texas. Car shows, weekend trips. They're making memories. Marcus nodded slowly. That's good. That's what it deserved. We worked until dark. Before he left, Marcus hugged me. Really hugged me. Not the quick pat on the back he usually gave. Thank you for not giving up on me, he whispered. I'm your father, I said. I'll never give up on you. I just needed you to understand what matters. He drove back to Seattle the next morning, but he came back 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks after that. Slowly, weekend by weekend, we rebuilt the Camaro. And even more slowly, we rebuilt something else. Something that had cracked that day he called the Charger Impractical. The Camaro took us 3 years, not 17, but 3 solid years of steady work. When it was done, I gave Marcus the keys. "Dad, I can't," he said. "You can and you will. You earned this one. You showed up. You put in the work. You learned what I was trying to teach you. This car is yours because you understand now what it means." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I'll never sell it. I know." He still drives that Camaro. He's got a Tesla for daily driving, but weekends he drives the '67 Camaro. He brings his kids to visit me now, twin daughters, born last year. He's already talking about finding a car to restore for them. The money from the Charger sale put Tyler through engineering school and Emma through medical school. At their graduations, they both thanked me in their speeches. They both mentioned their great-grandfather's car and the lesson it taught them about value and sacrifice. Marcus was at both graduations. He clapped the loudest. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd kept the Charger. If I'd just let it sit in my garage, unappreciated, collecting dust. If I'd let Marcus's words slide off me like water off chrome. But then, I remember James Patterson's face when he first saw the car. I remember the photos he sends me of him and his son, making those memories. I remember Tyler and Emma, learning to work with their hands. I remember Marcus, finally understanding what his grandfather tried to teach his father, and his father tried to teach him. The Charger is gone, but what it taught us, that's forever. And that's worth more than $200,000. That's worth more than any amount of money. Because in the end, it was never about the car. It was about understanding that some things can't be measured in efficiency or carbon footprints or liquid assets. Some things can only be measured in love, in time, in the careful work of hands that build something meant to last generations. Marcus knows that now. And someday, when he's teaching his daughters to rebuild an engine, when he's passing down the Camaro I gave him, he'll tell them the story of their great-great-grandfather's Charger, the one that was sold. The one that taught everyone in our family what really matters. He'll tell them it was the best thing that ever happened to him. And he'll be right.